I think my wife is planning on ruining her little sister's wedding. I need advice.
Help me.
This story was posted in the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. Don't you forget it. That rhymed. Hi, this isn't something I do, but a friend said this might help with getting advice. My wife's younger sister, who she has a lot of drama with, is getting married. And recently, my wife has been acting really secretive about things, like her phone, and going out with her friends a lot.
Suspicious.
Also, she'd normally want to show me what she plans on wearing to big events like this, but with her sister's wedding, she just says she wants it to be a surprise. Okay. I want to trust her, but with some of the context, it has me worried, so I'd like some advice on how best I talk about this with her. Now, my wife has always said her parents play favorites. I don't think that's true, but it's how she thinks. And when it comes to her youngest sister, she has played a few pranks in the past, so I'm worried she will do something she can't take back. For context, my father-in-law is a bit of a self-made man. He has a good amount of money now, but that wasn't always the case. There was a time, in fact, when money was tight, which was when my wife was a little kid.
I'm sorry, are we poor?
From the stories I've heard, for the first 10 plus years of my wife's childhood, money was tight. However, around that, my father-in-law's business took off in a big way. So suddenly he had money, and as a result, he wanted to give his younger kids the stuff he hadn't been able to give my wife. Okay. To be clear, since having money, he's always tried to give my wife stuff as well. But the contrasting childhood has always been something that's been hard for my wife. It's not his fault that he couldn't afford to give your wife anything when she was young. Plus, it doesn't help that thanks to another bump in the business after my wife was already in college, my father-in-law was able to help the younger kids out a lot more than he had my wife. Me and her were already dating by that time, so I can tell you, my father-in-law did a lot to make it up to her, like paying her student loans off. Did the same for me as well, by the way. Also, when we got married, he gave us a house as a wedding present, so my perspective is he's a very generous man. Hate to say it, but your wife sounds kinda just like a little sus.
This is odd.
I fail to see how she has a problem with her dad.
He's doing his best, you know?
My wife has difficulty seeing all the things a man does for her, plus our son, by the way, so sometimes she can get a little jealous. To be clear, most of the time this isn't an issue. My wife is a great mother to our son. She's very supportive of some unusual hobbies I have, and we make time to do stuff as a couple. At least that used to be the case until her sister said she was getting married. And ever since then, a lot of all that good stuff has stopped, and it feels to me like this is all we talk about.
Strange.
I don't like where this is going, honey. Honey bunny. For a bit of context, me and my wife had something of a quick wedding. My grandfather, who had always been more of a father to me, was dying, so I wanted to get married quickly. As a result, the wedding was kind of a small event. Personally, I enjoyed the day. However, my wife's sister had a long engagement and her husband-to-be comes from a big family. So the whole winter wedding is shaping up to be a big event, which in turn is creating some comparison to our wedding.
Lawsuit has begun.
Brother. It never fails, honestly. Like, as exciting as weddings are, and, you know, they're such a big deal, people place, like, a lot of importance on them, and people also compare. There's always a little bit of a silent competition, you know? Which is unfortunate, but it's a fact of life. People compare.
Say la vie.
I expected this might lead to a few arguments with my wife, but recently it feels like all she does is compare our wedding to what her sister is planning and talking about how unfair it is. I don't love that. I don't love that at all. I mean, didn't she also like get a house as a wedding present? I don't love this. She's even compared me to her sister's soon-to-be husband a few times, which is a bit hurtful. Oh no. Especially considering the man has gotten really distant with me over the last year, and I actually would have said we were friends before. We stopped doing a lot of stuff together. We used to make time for date nights or family days, but now she's always ending up spending more time at work or going out for fun days with her girlfriends. This last part is why I'm starting to get worried. I have nothing against my wife's friends, but they can encourage her worst self sometimes. Plus, there's the fact she's already started being very cagey with her phone. Also, I should mention I talked to one of them yesterday and they lied and said they hadn't seen her recently, which is really starting to worry me. And again, I say she keeps telling me her dress for the wedding is a complete surprise. Now, this could be all in my head, but I'm really worried she's planning to wear white or something like that. Our son is going to be the ring bearer, so I don't want him seeing his mom do something like that. At the same time, I don't want to accuse my wife of something if this is really all in my head. So could people on here please tell me how I best talk to my wife about all these concerns I have? My guess is she is spending a lot of time with her friends because maybe she's finding solace in being able to like complain to them.
I don't complain.
Maybe they're yes men. Maybe they're kind of like excusing the behavior. I wish I could say that this isn't a common thing. It's not common to like plan to wear something awful as like revenge for not being the favorite child. That's not common. What is common is weddings bringing the worst out in people, especially women.
Sorry, ladies.
Especially women. Like I've seen it happen on both sides, but like women really, really do compare. You know, whether the wedding was more expensive than theirs, whether the bride looked more beautiful than she did on her wedding, whether she has a partner and her friend is getting married. And not having a partner makes her feel much more alone. And, you know, this is, I think, why we see so much wedding drama is because they really do. Weddings really do. As joyous of an occasion that they are, they really do bring the worst out in people. I'm curious to know if you have sat her down. Like, I know she's being kind of cagey about her wedding dress, but maybe there's a way that you could be like, hey, so like, I'd love to know what you're wearing so that I could get like a similar color, like scarf for my, what's this little, like the little thing here, the pocket square, or a tie, so that you guys could match. Like, see if you can like fish to find out like what color at the very least she's wearing so that, you know, you can match her or something. And then if she, you know, declines to tell you, a couple things could happen. She could tell you and then it turns out to be a color and it's not a white dress. So you could feel a little relieved. Or she could still be cagey, at which point you could just kind of be like,
why are you not telling me the color of your dress? Like you're not planning on doing something silly, are you?
I think that we could try and get a little bit more info before we assume, right? Like, I don't think you're wrong, but let's try and get like a little more info. Let's move in the shadows and find out a little more info. I'm sure we have some petty ideas in the comments. Let's see. If you two are traveling together to the wedding in the same car, when she shows you what she's wearing, if it's inappropriate, just refuse to go. Your wife needs some serious therapy. What you're describing is incredibly immature, petty, and vindictive. I have to tell you, I would have a hard time thinking my wife could be that potentially awful and still being her partner, at least without therapy. The bigger problem here is that you think your wife is capable of doing this, and that's not based on nothing. You have some experiences. I can't even imagine being with somebody that jealous and vindictive. Yeah, unfortunately, it really is women. I'm all for being a girl's girl here, but unfortunately, women get jealous. People get jealous, but especially surrounding weddings, women get jealous. So I think it would be beneficial to find out exactly why, you know, the next time she kind of says something a little bit sus, let's like get to the bottom of it. Get to the bottom of like how she feels. It's not good how she feels.
Talk it over.
I can always sense when, you know, friends feel this way. It makes me like pull back a little bit because nobody wants a friend or family member that is secretly like jealous. Unfortunately, it is a very human thing to be jealous. We just need to be like making sure that we handle our emotions correctly. It's not her sister's fault that she has a lovely wedding. I highly doubt that she's doing all of that to spite her sister.
Trauma.
But yes, I do think that we need to talk with the wife. I honestly also fail to see why she thinks that she's not the favorite child. Like in situations where parents kind of like come into a little bit of money, I feel like a lot of the time there's always this like need to make everything fair. Based on what you've described, it does seem like her dad did a lot to make up for the fact that he wasn't able to afford this big extravagant childhood.
That's fair.
He paid off your student loans. He paid off her student loans. He bought her a house. Those are not small things. He really did set you guys up for success. Yeah, I mean, I really fail to understand where these feelings are coming from. If they are related to money, these feelings, I think she's a little delulu.
Delusional? I'm not delusional.
So we do have an update. Got a couple of updates. Right out the gate, I want to make it clear my marriage is now over. Oh my. And I'm looking to get divorced. Okay. As many of you suggested, my wife has been having an affair with her sister's soon-to-be husband. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. It's been going on for a while, apparently, so I feel like a complete idiot right now. I mean, listen, I don't want to be this, like, bitter person that automatically assumes that people are, like, having an affair. But, like, it is interesting, and it does make sense that your wife is incredibly competitive with her sister, and that led to her having an affair with her sister's husband. That kind of competitiveness really runs deep, so much so to the point where they want everything that someone else has, including their partner. You're not an idiot. I definitely did not see that coming either, but like, am I surprised? Like, not really. I'm sure you want to know what happened, so I'll start from the beginning.
Yes, please.
After I made my first post, I thought the people saying affair just didn't understand what I was saying, so I was focused on the advice that was offered. The day after that, I sat my wife down and tried to talk about it using the suggestions people made. To begin with, I talked about how I felt we were losing each other and that maybe we should try marriage counseling. Also, I suggested we could start planning for a big vow renewal when we hit our 10-year anniversary. That's also a very good idea to make her feel like, you know, she didn't have, you know, the big wedding. Maybe we could like do something special.
Genius.
When it came to the dress, like some suggested, I asked about the color, saying I wanted us to match. Ooh, okay. Great minds. Honestly, I thought that would have worked, but it didn't. The only result was I got shouted at. She said things like vow renewals were stupid and marriage counseling is a con. Plus, when it came to the dress, there was actual screaming about it being a surprise. Okay. On the dress point, by the way, the story always was that it's at a friend's house. So I or our son didn't go peeking to try and find it.
Oh, that seems rather extreme.
Needless to say, after that, I started to get worried. But embarrassingly, in spite of what you were all telling me, I still didn't think affair. I thought it was going to be some petty dress stunt. After that, I wasn't going to try talking to her again about it, so I went to the maid of honor and my mother-in-law. I told them what I was worried about, so they agreed to help.
Go team.
Mother-in-law promised me she would talk to my wife to see if she could get an idea of what was going on, while the maid of honor agreed to go dress shopping with me. The idea there being I could get my wife a wedding-appropriate dress as a gift for the fight we seemed to be having, and then make sure the dress was available when the wedding came around in case my wife did do something. Wow. I'm impressed with all of these, like, fool-safe options, but, like, I find it a little nuts that you have to go and do all of this stuff. Why can't people just have some social decorum, you know?
Behave.
Dress shopping with maid of honor was actually fun, to be honest. She's a single mom and her daughter is only 2 years younger than my son. So we've connected because of that in the past. In a way, the maid of honor is kind of a friend I don't see a lot, which is why me and her talked a lot while dress shopping. Me posting on Reddit became a subject of conversation, so I showed her what people were saying. So that's how she found out about the idea my wife was having an affair.
Here goes.
Afterwards, I thought everything was going to be fine with my plan for the dress, but unlike me, the maid of honor wasn't being an idiot and did pay attention. You see, the maid of honor's dad is actually a big-time divorce lawyer. So apparently after we talked, she talked to him, and he talked to people he knew. And a few days after me and maid of honor had gone dress shopping, her dad and her contacted me. Not only did they show proof of my wife's affair, but they also explained how my wife was planning to divorce, having apparently already started talking to a lawyer of her own. Oh my.
Mind blown.
Ooh, this escalated very quickly. I am very rarely speechless. How did we get here? I don't know exactly what my wife's plan was going to be if I hadn't found out, but needless to say, things pretty much blew up after that because maid of honor told my sister-in-law after she told me, and I'm told there was apparently a lot of screaming. I'd like to say I confronted my wife about everything, but honestly, I still have yet to see her since maid of honor told me.
Holy crap.
That day, I packed me and my son up and got out of the house, and ever since then, me and him have been staying with maid of honor in an effort to avoid the carnages. So far, it seems no one on the bride's side knew, but apparently a few on the groom's side did. So there's been all kinds of drama about that. Plus, apparently my father-in-law has said he's cutting my soon-to-be ex off from the money she's always complained about, so again, drama.
Drama, drama, drama.
Worth pointing out here that she has called me to shout about ruining things for her somehow, but hasn't once asked about where her son is. Oh, Lord. Jesus, I don't even know what to say at this point. I've been rendered speechless, guys. Like this is great.
He's speechless!
On that point, I would say him and the maid of honor daughter get along great. So he has someone to play with here at the very least. Plus, she really is a dear and is quite clearly trying to distract him, as I think the maid of honor is trying to do as well. I mean, I don't mind this idea of you and the maid of honor. I'll just say that. I should also say here that her dad is helping me with the divorce. We had a prenup with an infidelity clause, so things should be okay, but he tells me these things can be dragged out. I don't really know what's gonna happen, but it's a safe bet that my soon-to-be ex-wife's idea of petty revenge for some crazy reason has really blown up everything. Thank you again for the advice people gave me. Even if I was the idiot who didn't listen to see it myself, I do appreciate it. Okay, but to be fair, I am also flabbergasted that this has happened. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you, hun. Like, straight up, this is nuts. It's one thing to be a little bit spiteful and, like, jealous. Jealousy is like a normal human emotion, okay? It really, really is. But it's clear that all of the signs and all the things you were worried about, you know, were proof of a much larger problem. So an interesting thing to note, as much as I do like you and mother-in-law hanging out, this comment is very important. Do yourself a favor, get your own place and stop staying with maid of honor. Oh, sorry, did I say mother-in-law? Your ex will start saying you were actually cheating with maid of honor the whole time, and it will seem believable because you're living with her. And honestly, living with a kind, helpful woman when you're down could lead to accidents. Focus on your kids and your hobbies for a while. Don't immediately start dating. That's very good advice, and we do have one more update. Hi, I had my first therapist appointment today, and they thought updating here might be helpful for me, so here I am. Oh my goodness, even the therapists are telling people to come to my subreddit. I love it. To begin with, there are some things I'd like to clarify. First, maid of honor's dad, like many divorce lawyers, has private eyes he's working with. It was one of them who found proof of my soon-to-be ex-wife's affair. The man might be very eager to help me get out of my marriage due to the fact that his daughter was my sister-in-law's best friend and therefore has some skin in the game here. But he didn't break any ethical boundary. Second, I thought it would be obvious, but yes, my sister-in-law did call off the wedding. When she found out about the affair, she did call everything off. Also, I didn't mention this before, but the private investigator did find a picture of the dress my soon-to-be ex-wife was going to wear, and it was going to be red and extremely revealing. Okay, I had guessed red. Like, I wasn't guessing white solely for the fact that she was having an affair with the groom. Red makes sense. Sorry I didn't mention that last time when I made my post. I was also watching the kids, so I was a little distracted. Next, when it comes to maid of honor, I didn't mention this before because it didn't seem relevant, but she does have a boyfriend. Okay. It's a sort of new relationship. They aren't living together, but she's not single, and also he's a great guy. Quite often, maid of honor is out of the house being there for sister-in-law. He will come along and hang out with me and the kids while we build Legos or play dress up. He's even brought a friend of his along once or twice. All that being said, though, I have since moved me and my son out. That was always the plan. It just took me time to find a place I could start renting. In spite of the fact that maid of honor has a boyfriend, I'm not an idiot. I knew how it looked. I just wanted out of the house quickly, and staying with her to begin with was the best option I had.
Makes sense.
On that point, I'm told my ex and her lawyer are trying to challenge the prenup. Mine says everything is in my favor, though, so I'll need to wait, but it should break my way eventually. As far as my son is concerned, I'm told everything should be good there as well. I'll probably have to allow some kind of visitation, but it will be minor.
Parenting is hard.
I'll also add that my father-in-law and mother-in-law have since contacted me to talk about everything, and they say they're happy to help me manage stuff like the visitation in the future, so I don't have to see my ex. Worth pointing out here that they are proving to be really good parents. They're not refusing to talk to my ex, apparently, but they have made it clear she's cut off from any family money now. I suspect this will mean she will go no contact with them in spite of their offer to stay in contact. But that's where things stand with them.
Stand your ground.
Lastly, I feel I should mention the term my therapist mentioned when I was talking about how I met my ex. Apparently back then was what was called love bombing. When I met my ex in college, I had dated before, but she was actually my first real relationship. So when she was showering me with all this affection and wanted to spend so much time together, it really felt good. Afterward, I wanted to make her happy and try to get us as a couple back to how we had been when we started. But I'm told it was a pattern of control, and looking back now, I do see it. Well, I am glad to hear that you got out of a clearly very terrible marriage.
Divorce completed.
Yay.
It turns out that everybody was right about the vindictiveness. Yeah, I have to say, I'm kind of annoyed with myself that I didn't see it. Not that I was making excuses for the behavior, it's just like, based on what he shared, it just didn't like, maybe it's really not normal to feel that way, honestly. Like I just know personally, like with my wedding, I did notice that there was a lot of behavior that was kind of like not fair to me. And I think a lot of that behavior came from comparison and not genuinely being happy for me.
How dare they?
I will say that although I'm not going to like totally end friendships and relationships because of that, I have sort of taken a step back from those relationships. What was I supposed to do? Go full bridezilla? Like, obviously not. Everybody already is already hoping that I turn out to be a bridezilla because it would make me a hypocrite. Yeah, it isn't normal to feel vindictive about someone you know getting married and someone being happy. I'll just say that.
That's weird.
Someone's happiness does not negate your own self-worth. Like, I'm even reading this book on evolutionary psychology right now, and it's literally ingrained, especially in women. People get jealous. It's a normal emotion. But what I'm saying is you do have to check yourself when those jealous feelings come up and ask why.
Check yourself.
And don't take it out on the people that you're jealous of.